What does it really take to get, significantly successful? Rich, even. Is it just luck? Being some kind of genius? Or is it something else?
That really is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Hmm.
So many people look at, say, the big names in business and think, oh, they were just lucky or, they're just wired differently.
Right.
But what if the actual path, the real way to that kind of success, is based on principles, things anyone could potentially learn and use?
And that's exactly what we're getting into today on the deep dive. We're aiming to really unearth those principles, pulling from one of the most, legendary self-help books ever, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, and it's not just about cash, is it? It's about the whole mindset, the thinking that built fortunes, changed lives.
Totally. We're digging into the insights Hill gathered over, more than 20 years, studying hundreds of the wealthiest people in history.
Exactly. And this wasn't just like armchair philosophy.
Hmm.
It was based on a money-making secret given to him by Andrew Carnegie himself.
Wow. Carnegie?
Yeah. A secret that Carnegie and many others apparently use to build massive success and, interestingly, harmony in their lives too.
So for you listening, this deep dive is kind of a shortcut. It's about understanding what these incredibly successful people maybe knew instinctively or, learns the hard way.
And how ordinary folks, often without much schooling, manage to tap into these, intangible forces to get extraordinary results.
Okay, let's get started. Let's talk about that secret from Carnegie, the one he apparently just tossed into Hill's mind when Hill was young.
Yeah, it's a great starting point. Hill then spent, like we said, decades checking if it actually worked. And he found thousands of people from all walks of life using it successfully, making money, finding balance.
And it wasn't just small-time stuff either. You mentioned Charles M. Schwab.
Right. Schwab's application of this thinking was apparently key in forming U.S. Steel. We're talking a $600 million deal back then. Huge. So it clearly had massive practical implications.
That's incredible. But it wasn't only for the Schwabs of the world, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely not. Hill tells this story about Arthur Nash, a tailor in Cincinnati. His business was failing, nearly bankrupt.
Okay.
Nash used his business as a sort of guinea pig for the formula. And it didn't just survive, it thrived, made a fortune for the owners.
So it scaled down, too.
Completely. And even a clergyman supposedly used it to boost his income to $75,000 a year, which was a lot back then. It suggests it's a universal thing.
Okay, so that brings us to the absolute starting point Hill identified. Desire. A burning desire.
Exactly. It sounds simple, but Hill's idea is pretty radical. Riches start as a thought, and the very first step to making that thought real is cultivating this intense, all-consuming desire.
He uses that story of Edwin C. Barnes, doesn't he? The guy obsessed with working with Thomas Edison.
Yeah, and Hill really emphasizes it wasn't just a hope or like a casual wish. It was a keen, pulsating desire, an obsession.
And Barnes proved it. He basically burned his bridges, right? Showed up with nothing, determined, left himself no possible way of retreat.
He did. It was that win or perish attitude Hill talks about. That level of commitment, that burning drive, is presented as totally essential.
Okay, so you have the desire. What's next? Faith.
Faith, yes, but maybe not in the way people immediately think. Hill saw faith as a state of mind you could actually induce in yourself.
Induce? How?
Through autosuggestion, basically consciously programming your own mind. He even lays out a self-confidence formula.
Right. Tell us about that. It sounds like you're almost tricking your subconscious.
Kind of, yeah. By acting as if. The formula involved demanding action from yourself, understanding your thoughts are powerful, demanding confidence, writing down your main goal, your definite chief aim, and making sure your deals benefit everyone.
Okay.
The idea is, if you keep feeding these positive, focused thoughts and intentions into your mind, especially with feeling, you convince your subconscious you already have what you want.
So it's practical steps, not just wishful thinking.
Exactly. Hill felt that for years people were told, have faith, but nobody explained how. He thought autosuggestion was the how.
That's a really interesting take. Okay, from faith, let's move to, making things happen. Decision and persistence.
Yes, critical components.
Yep.
Hill calls definiteness of decision the mastery of procrastination.
The enemy of progress.
Right. And he observed this clear pattern. Successful people decide quickly, and then they stick to it. They change their minds slowly, if ever.
Whereas failures
Do the opposite. They delay deciding, then jump ship at the first sign of trouble. Never give the plan a chance.
That story about Marshall Field after the Chicago fire. Wow. Standing in the smoking ruins and saying, I'm rebuilding right here, bigger and better.
Incredible, isn't it? Talk about decisiveness. That wasn't just a business decision, it was pure will, fueled by that burning desire we talked about, even when things looked hopeless.
And that ties right into
Yeah,
persistence.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Hill defines persistence as the effort needed to create faith. It's the will to win.
He tells that story about R.U. Darby, the gold miner.
Oh yeah, the classic 3 feet from gold story. Darby and his uncle gave up digging just 3 feet short of a massive gold vein.
Agonizing, just imagine.
Right. It makes you think, how often do we stop just short? But Darby learned his lesson. He later sold life insurance and apparently became unstoppable, wouldn't take no for an answer.
Because he remembered being 3 feet away.
Exactly. Hill says failure is this trickster that loves tripping you up right when you're about to succeed. Persistence is the antidote.
And Fannie Hurst, the author, 36 rejections.
36. From the same magazine, the Saturday Evening Post, before they finally accepted her work, it shows, as Hill put it, success often waits until you refuse to quit. It's about endurance.
So how do we get more of that persistence? Hill had steps, right? 4 simple ones.
Yep. First, a definite purpose, backed by that burning desire. Got to know what you want and why you want it intensely.
Okay, makes sense.
Second, a clear plan, and crucially, continuous action. Planning isn't enough. You have to keep moving.
Got it. What's third? This one sounds tough.
It is. Closing your mind to all negative influences. That includes negative self-talk, but also discouraging people, even family or friends sometimes. You have to protect your focus.
Oof. Yeah, that's hard, but probably essential. And fourth?
A harmonious alliance with others. Finding people who support your definite purpose. This hints at the mastermind idea.
Right, the mastermind. Let's get into the mind's capabilities now. Imagination first. The workshop of the mind, Hill called it.
Yeah, he saw it as the place where ideas get shaped into actionable plans. And he made a distinction, didn't he?
Between 2 types.
Right. Synthetic imagination that's like rearranging old ideas, concepts, experiences into new combinations. Most invention probably falls here.
Okay, and the other?
Creative imagination. This one's more mysterious. Hill believed this is where totally new ideas, hunches, inspirations come from, received directly from what he called infinite intelligence.
That's pretty profound, like flashes of insight.
Exactly. And he uses Coca-Cola as an example. The secret formula was one thing, but Asa Candler added imagination. That's what turned, a recipe on paper in a kettle into a global empire. Ideas plus imagination.
That really highlights the power of an idea, which leads us to knowledge, but not just any knowledge.
Specialized knowledge.
Yeah.
Hill challenged the whole idea that formal education is the only path. He points to Henry Ford, less than 6th grade education. Thomas Edison, only 3 months of schooling.
Yet they built fortunes.
Immense fortunes. The key, Hill argued, wasn't just knowing things, but knowing specific things relevant to your purpose and knowing how to organize and use that knowledge.
So it's about applied knowledge. How do you get it then, if not just school?
Hill says several ways. Your own experience, learning from others, libraries, universities, or sources, but also special training courses. He basically says it pays to know how to purchase knowledge. Find it where you need it.
He mentioned that guy, Stuart Austin Weir, the engineer who became a lawyer.
Right. During the Depression, his engineering work dried up. So he deliberately went out, acquired new, specialized legal knowledge, and built successful law practice.
Yeah.
He adapted by learning strategically.
Okay, that adaptability is key. Now let's talk about pooling resources mentally. The mastermind.
Yes, a cornerstone of Hill's philosophy. He defined it as coordinated knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between 2 or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose.
So teamwork, but with a specific focus and vibe.
Exactly. Andrew Carnegie apparently credited his entire fortune to his mastermind group, about 50 key people whose knowledge and effort he coordinated. He didn't know everything, but he knew how to bring together people who did.
And Hill suggested there was something more going on too, didn't he? Something almost psychic.
Yeah, he did. He theorized that when brains coordinate in harmony, they create more thought energy than a single brain alone. And that extra energy becomes available to everyone in the group, like a mental amplifier.
Interesting. So being around certain people can actually boost your own thinking.
That was his idea. He uses Henry Ford, associating with Edison, Firestone, Burroughs. Burbank is an example. Ford wasn't just networking. Hill believed he was absorbing their vibrations of thought, adding their brain power to his own.
Even Mahatma Gandhi is mentioned.
Yes, Hill saw Gandhi's power coming from his ability to get millions of people to coordinate their minds and efforts toward a definite purpose, peacefully and harmoniously. collective intent.
Amazing. Okay, from the group mind back to the individual's inner workings, the subconscious.
Right, the subconscious mind. Hill saw it as this vast filing system where every thought impulse gets stored. But it's not just passive storage.
How so?
It responds most powerfully to thoughts that are emotionalized. Hill loved the analogy of yeast and bread. Positive emotions like faith, love, enthusiasm, they make thoughts active. They give them power.
So just thinking isn't enough. You have to feel it.
Precisely. That's why he stressed consciously planting your plans and purposes into your subconscious, charged with feeling and emotion. That's what gets the subconscious to work for you.
And the brain itself. He described it as a kind of transmitter and receiver.
Yeah, a broadcasting and receiving station for thought. His idea was that when your mind is vibrating at a higher frequency, through strong emotion, desire, faith, two things happen.
Okay.
One, you become more receptive to ideas from that infinite intelligence or ether, those hunches and inspirations. And two, your own thoughts gain the emotional power needed to impress the subconscious and drive action.
It's a whole system working together. Which brings us to the peak. The sixth sense. This sounds a bit out there.
It is definitely the most esoteric part of the book. The sixth sense, for Hill, is basically the creative imagination operating at its highest level. It's the receiving set for those direct insights from infinite intelligence.
And he claimed it had practical uses, like warnings.
Yeah, he believed it could warn you of dangers ahead of time and alert you to opportunities. He called it a kind of guardian angel that unlocks true wisdom.
Didn't he have a unusual personal practice related to this? Imaginary meetings.
He did. He wrote about holding these nightly imaginary council meetings with figures he admired: Emerson, Lincoln, Edison, Napoleon, Ford, Carnegie, others.
He'd picture them around a table.
Yeah, and he'd mentally talk to them, asking to take on their best qualities, seeking their insights on problems. His goal was to reshape his own character and get inspired ideas.
That's unique. Did he say anyone could just do that?
He said the ability to really use the sixth sense comes slowly, only after mastering the other principles. It wasn't a quick fix. But the payoff was deep understanding of yourself, others, happiness, not just wealth.
Okay, so we've got the principles for building success. Now, what about the things that stop us? The roadblocks. Fear.
Exactly. Outwitting the six ghosts of fear, as he called them. He saw these as the main reasons people fail. They cause discouragement, procrastination, indecision, all the stuff that kills ambition.
And what are these six ghosts?
The fears of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death.
Quite the list.
Yeah. And the key thing Hill stressed is that they are ghosts. They only exist in our minds. But, he warned, they can be just as damaging as physical threats if we let our imagination run wild with them.
Which one did he see as the worst?
Fear of poverty. He called it the most destructive and hardest to beat. Said it paralyzes your ability to think clearly, kills imagination, and he was blunt. There can be no compromise between poverty and riches. You have to choose.
Wow. Strong words. What about fear of criticism? That feels very relevant today.
Hugely relevant. Hill said it robs us of initiative, makes us afraid to be different, crushes imagination. It affects everything from, what clothes we wear to whether we dare to pursue a unique idea or express a real conviction.
Because we worry what they will think.
Exactly. It keeps us playing small.
So how do we fight these ghosts? How do we protect our minds?
Hill's advice is pretty direct. Use your willpower. Build what he calls a wall of immunity. First, you have to recognize you're susceptible. We all are. Naturally lazy sometimes, prone to fear.
Okay, self-awareness first.
Then consciously counteract them. He hammers home the point. You have absolute control over but one thing, and that is your thoughts. Use that control.
How practically?
Close your mind deliberately to negative people, discouraging talk. Actively seek out people who inspire you, who think boldly. He mentions F.W. Woolworth.
The five and dime guy?
Yeah. Apparently, people constantly told him his idea was stupid, it would never work. He just ignored them, exercised his right to control his own thoughts, and built a massive fortune.
Inner conviction wins. Okay, last section. Let's talk about applying all this in the real world, marketing yourself, the economics of it.
Right. Hill observed a big shift happening, what he called a stupendous change. From the rule of gold, basically. Whoever has the gold makes the rules, to the golden rule. Treat others as you want to be treated.
Meaning?
Meaning the old go-getter attitude of just taking wasn't sustainable. The future belonged to the go-giver, someone focused on providing real, useful service. Because ultimately, the public is the real employer.
You have to offer value.
Exactly. He saw companies like railroads that ignored public needs eventually suffer. You have to serve to succeed long term.
And he was very positive about the opportunities, particularly in America.
Very. He saw America as offering unparalleled freedom of thought and freedom of deed, creating immense potential for wealth accumulation for anyone willing to provide value.
He had an interesting take on capital, too, didn't he? Not just money.
Right. He defined capital as highly organized, intelligent groups of men and women, we'd add today, who use resources effectively to benefit the public and earn a profit. He saw it as the engine of civilization, building infrastructure, creating systems.
So organized intelligence and resources directed purposefully.
Yes, and the fundamental economic law tying it all together. There is but one dependable method of accumulating and legally holding riches, and that is by rendering useful service.
Simple but profound.
And he adds that the law of economics neither recognizes nor tolerates for long getting without giving. It's about fair exchange, value for value.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot. Let's try to sort of wrap this up. We went from that essential burning desire and faith.
Through decisive action and sheer persistence, fueled by imagination,
Amplified by the mastermind principle, tapping into the subconscious.
reaching towards that sixth sense intuition by battling those ghosts of fear.
Mind control really seems to be the core theme.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Controlling your own thoughts is paramount.
So for everyone listening, what's the big takeaway here?
I think it's that your limits are largely the ones you set in your own mind, and that setbacks aren't final. Remember Hill's line, every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success.
You just have to look for it and persist.
Exactly. And the most practical way to control your mind. Keep it busy with a definite goal and a definite plan to get there. Focus.
Okay, a final thought to leave everyone with. There's a quote Hill uses comparing life to a checkerboard game against time.
Ah, yes. If you hesitate before moving or neglect to move promptly, your men will be wiped off the board by time. You are playing against a partner who will not tolerate indecision.
Powerful stuff. So the question for you is, what single definite decision will you make right now and then pursue relentlessly to start turning your own desires into reality?